personal development side of our business. And, you know, when we're in circumstances like this, where our world's kind of changing and, you know, a lot of us are home when we're used to being out and about. Maybe the kids are in school and that is now the kitchen table. Things are just different. It's easy to let yourself kind of fall into this mind space that doesn't really serve you, that doesn't really help you continue to go in the direction of your goals, and doesn't, you know, kind of keep your head in the game when you need to be. So we are really excited to have David Byrd and Jenni Byrd-Grier on a call with us tonight. For those of you who have not met them, they are responsible for the Green Compass Leadership Development Program. So if you're a director, you're going to start working with them. If you're a master director and above, or a presidential founder, you're probably already working with them. I've had the opportunity to work with them over the years, for several years actually, and Sterling and Meredith and Brooks, Lori, myself, Vanessa, the corporate team also works directly with them too. You might have seen Sterling's video the other day after his call with David, and it's so funny because he usually calls me after he has his coaching calls with David. He's like, no, he's all amped up. He's excited. He's like thinking of things he's never thought of. And it's really exciting to see how this benefits not only all of us, but also, you know, the people that are really driving this ship. So we're lucky to have them on board with you guys tonight. And I believe that David is going to be speaking first. So I'm going to turn it over to you, David. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Sarah, can you hear me okay? I think you can. Yeah, good, good. Hey guys, good to have you on the call tonight. And thank you for having me on the call with you. Jenni and I are going to, we're not going to take a lot of your time this evening, but we want to talk about something that we feel like is extremely important right now. You know, we talk about business, we talk about life, we talk about all the other stuff, social life, and now we're all kind of like cramped in. We're isolated from each other for this time period. This will go away. I'm absolutely convinced it'll go away. Something tells me it'll probably go away about as mysteriously as it started. But in the meantime, for the good of all, we're isolated from each other. It makes some people very nervous. It makes some people respond in different ways. You guys are in business. You guys are in a relationship marketing business. I can't think of a better, I can't think of another business that is, I hate to say it this way, but is fit for this type of environment. Not that we are appreciative of the environment, but if there's anyone out there who is thinking, well, I'm just going to let this all pass by, I'm just going to let this go on through, and then I'll come back later and start working on my business or building my business, I think you're making a big mistake, because everybody's just like you. They're sitting at home too, and they're sitting at home waiting just like you may be. But the reality is, it's perfect time to touch base. It's good for two reasons. Number one, social connections outside yourself is good for you. Number two, social connections with other people at this time is excellent. It's an opportunity to share love, share life, share light with a lot of people out there who you would normally not be able to get on the phone. So it's a good time for you to be engaged in that type of work. And I'm not trying to profit from what's going on right now. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about it's a good thing to stay in touch with other people. Think about it this way. You have customers out there. And those customers out there, they love the product. I mean, your sales are up again for this last month. The sales were up again. 2 months in a row. So you've got a almost kind of like a magical product, and people are excited about it. You have a lot of customers out there. But one thing that I would look at from your perspective is multi-level marketing or relationship marketing, however you want to tag it, is is a two-part process. You've got to have a good, sharp product, but you also have to have consistent growth. All right, now, if you create one customer, then that one customer could grow into more product sales down the road, but chances are that one customer is not going to multiply. But if you bring an associate into business with you, now you're working with a multiple. So your business is one that must be balanced out between both product sales and what we call recruiting. And this is one of the best times in the world to be touching base with your customers. Just check on them, see how they're doing. They'll appreciate that. And just simply check on them and talk to them a little bit, help them feel good, share some light with them, share some information with them, just touching base with your customers. There is a question that Jenni and I have worked with for a long time that's always worked almost, we call it the magic question because it's almost magical. And that magic question is, anytime you have a customer with whom you have never talked with about the business opportunity with Green Compass, all you have to do is say, you know, behind this wonderful product is a beautiful business model, and I'd love to talk with you about it if you would have any interest in that. Would you like to have a conversation about that? Or would you be interested in talking with me about that? You're going to be shocked. 50% of your customers that you've never talked to before will say yes to that question. Perfect time to not only grow your business through product sales, but also start multiplying your business. In your business, you have to multiply you. One product sale brings money in, but one product sale multiply.
Do you want to? I hope you will.
Unless that grows into an associate. So I just wanted to mention that because these times we kind of think that this is a bad time for business, and I'm not going to be involved in doing anything until all of this straightens out. I think that would be a mistake, not only for you from a business standpoint, but also for you from a personal standpoint. Now, what I wanted to talk with you about tonight, everyone out there has approximately 2 basic thinking processes. We think in 2 ways. We think what I call proactively, or we think reactively. Now, out of those 2, which one would you anticipate is the most prevalent among our population? How people think. I'm talking about around the world. Psychological evidence shows us that because of the influence of our natural human instincts, most of us think reactively. Now, what that means is when we're in a reactive mindset, what we do is we depend on our feelings inside of us, and our mindset is dependent upon what's happening outside of us. In other words, we are driven by the externals around us. So a reactive mindset is one that you wake up in the morning, you get started, first thing hits is not a good thing. It might be a negative thing or a bad thing, or somebody's having a bad day, and you engage in a discussion that's not pleasant. And then, so from that external event, then you spend all day long living in that reactive thought. Reactive thought almost victimizes you to the externals around you. Now, why is it the majority of people think reactively? Why is that? It's because of our natural human instincts. What is the biggest driver of our natural human instincts? Fear. And guys, that's what's going on right now. There's people responding and reacting in a fearful way right now. There's a lot of fear talk on the news media and the news programs. A lot of fear thinking, a lot of fear thoughts. This is not a good time we're going through. I'll admit that. But at the same time, if I allow that to direct how I think, what I'm doing is I'm allowing the externals of my life to determine how I'm going to not only feel, but determine my health and the levels of stress and everything else that I take on in life. So if you are in that pattern, if you find yourself in that pattern where you wake up in the morning, you wait for stuff to happen around you to decide whether or not it's going to be a good day or not. And if the first bad thing that happens, then we reactively move into a period of remorse, regret, stress, worry, doubt, fear. All of that stuff settles in. Now, the other style of the other thinking mode or process, the other mindset is the mindset of proactive thought. Now, in our system, we teach a system we call the next level achievement system. In our system, we teach proactive mindset in every area of your life. For instance, what do you do about tomorrow today? Most of the time, think about it. The average person does nothing about tomorrow today. They wait for tomorrow to get here. Then they'll wake up and they'll wait for the first thing to happen. That thing will happen, and then that thing will go to the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So we wake up in the morning, wait for the first thing to happen, and then we allow the externals around us to drive our thinking process all through the day. Now, the opposite of that would be able to have a system in place where you can always be planning tomorrow before tomorrow begins. In other words, you are planning your life today related to tomorrow. You wake up in the morning, you already know the first thing because it is proactively planned out. Now, here's what medical science and also psychology is telling us about the different mindsets. A reactive mindset always leads to what psychologists call general decline. Why? Because reality has a tendency to do that. If you're waiting for stuff to happen around you, then you have to wait for something good to happen to make you feel better. The proactive mindset is one where you have already proactively programmed your mind to respond in a certain way based on your plan and your goals. So I would encourage you that one little thing, if you would do one thing every evening before you hit the pillow, decide tomorrow what the plan is. We have a planner called the Next Level Achievement System. It's the achievement planner. That's not the system. That's just the tracking mechanism we use to track the system. But it gives you an opportunity to be able to plan tomorrow before tomorrow begins. So during the night, number one, you rest better because you're not having to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. You've already got it planned out. Number two, you actually get something done. You know, a lot of times when we wait to wake up in the morning, wait for the first thing to happen, then what happens is we end up spending all day long doing the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing. And then we realize we have done all of that based on the externals of our life. So you sit back and say, I worked real hard, but what did I get done? Make sure you get something done. And to do that, we always teach a proactive mindset. Now, here's what medical science is finding out about a proactive mindset. A proactive mindset creates growth. Not only growth, but it creates health and well-being. Whereas a reactive mindset, in other words, being connected to the externals around you to base your feelings on, that reactive mindset is one that leads to decline and lack of growth. So the big driver of our mindset is our natural human instincts. And being physical, we're a two-part being. We're a physical being, but we're also a spiritual being. And being a physical being, our natural human instinct is a part of that physical or human part of us, and it's driven by fear. Our instinctive responses are always driven by fear, whereas our proactive responses can always be driven by whatever emotions you are deciding to live through. The major emotion of love cannot be achieved instinctively. The major emotion of love is achieved proactively. And it's that way in all of life, but it's also very important in business to have a proactive mindset. Start every day with a plan of what you're going to do tomorrow. Even now, you might not have a whole lot to do tomorrow, but this is more important than anything else. Have a proactive plan of what you're going to do tomorrow. Now, something that Jenni started doing some time ago, and I've kind of picked it up too, is designing or having a theme for tomorrow. You know, I'll pick out a theme for tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to live in abundance all day tomorrow. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. What happens externally of me is not going to confirm to me who I am. So I'm going to live in abundance all day tomorrow. I'm going to live in joy, or I'm going to live in peace. My wife, Mary, and I, we've decided we're just going to live in peace during this period of time. And that always helps out. So guys, that's the message that I wanted to share with you this evening. And I don't want to take all your time, but I encourage you, if you feel like you are being directed every day by whatever happens to you, that's not a good place to be. There's a better way. And that is having a proactive mindset. And the first step to a proactive mindset is always planning tomorrow before tomorrow begins. Guys, thank you for having me on the call, and I wish you well. Send love to every one of you. I'm going to step aside and let Jenni share a couple of ideas with you. Jenni?
Thank you. Hey guys, I'm excited to be here with you tonight, and I'm just going to continue to build on those concepts of that proactive and reactive thinking and how our instincts get in the way of growth. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 very specific things that can help you shift and maintain a proactive and a positive mindset, because I believe when we're in the right actions and it's coupled with the right mindset, then we get the results we want. So often in my coaching with clients, I find that a lot of people are in the right activity, but maybe their mindset's not in the right place. And I'm not talking about, when I say mindset, I'm not talking about what we say out loud and what we say to others. I'm talking about that little voice inside of our head that's talking to us all day long, and we almost never admit what it's saying, right? So when I talk about mindset, I'm talking about that little voice. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 steps, very specific, building on what my dad talked about as well. So step 1 is creating that daily proactive mindset. And, you know, this goes along with that daily planning, but I'm going to give you some specifics that I want you to implement and some tips. I kind of say that most of us are suffering from bandwidth deficiency disorder, right? How many of you would raise your hands? This means we believe we don't have enough time, right? How many of us have bandwidth deficiency disorder? And for a lot of people right now, our schedules look really different. Some of us are homeschooling kids. Some of us are trying to do a day job from home and homeschooling kids. Everybody's in the house. But I still believe we can practice creating this daily positive mindset by becoming a master of our daily plan. So even if you're quarantined at home and you feel as if you don't have anything to plan right now, or you don't feel like you have any scheduled appointments, I want you to start by just making appointments with yourself. So just like my dad said, doing that, proactively deciding today what you're going to do tomorrow. So start with just time blocking. You know, if you want to say, okay, I'm going to walk at 9 a.m. and then I'm going to, you know, work my Green Compass business, and then I'm going to homeschool the kids, whatever it is. But this will help you make sure that you don't, you know, wake up and you look up and it's 5 p.m. and you're still in your pajamas and you've wondered what you did all day. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to be in your pajamas at 5 p.m. I can say that's happened to me in quarantine, but you just don't want that to become your continuous habit. So while you practice this habit of daily planning, starting tonight, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. And the 2 questions are this. Number 1, when can I work my Green Compass business tomorrow? Guys, I don't care if it's 15 minutes or if it's 3 hours. I want you to proactively decide, and I want you to block it in your calendar. So question number 1 is, when can I work my Green Compass business? If you're needing to homeschool kids, for example, from let's say 9 to 2, and then you're busy with them, your schedule may look very different, and that's okay. But block out the time. When are you going to work your Green Compass business? Because I truly believe, and I know this because I've seen it, you can absolutely reach your next level in Green Compass by doing this a little bit each day. But you have to do it a little bit each day. It's that consistent behavior, right? So decide, when am I going to work my Green Compass business? Question number 2, what am I going to do during that time? So if you only have 30 minutes tomorrow to work your Green Compass business, I don't want you spending the first 15 deciding what you're going to do. Right? So I do want you to decide in advance. I want you to make sure you are focusing on revenue producing activity. Because if not, you know what happens? We get on our phones, and I love my phone just like everybody else, but you're going to spend a lot of time on social media, answering emails and text messages, and that is an important part of your business. But you have to make sure you're also in that revenue producing activity, following up with prospects, getting samples out. So every day, ask yourself those 2 questions. When can I work my business? And what am I going to do during that time? If you do that on a consistent basis, I promise you, you will be in the right activity to grow your Green Compass business. So that's step number 1. Now, step number 2, I'm shifting more to all the mindset stuff. Step number 2 is all about becoming aware of your thoughts. Now, do you know on average that we think 70,000 thoughts per day? That's a heck of a lot of thoughts. And scientists say that 90% of our thoughts are repetitive, meaning the majority of what I'm thinking today is the exact same thing I was thinking yesterday. And some scientists even say that on average, 70% of those thoughts are negative. So if you do the math on that, that says that we're thinking an average of 45,000 negative thoughts each day. That's pretty crazy, right? And most of us are not even aware of our thoughts. Remember I told you it's like that little voice in our head that's just running in the background all day long? Scientists have also said that our brain is like Velcro for negative thoughts and Teflon for positive ones. Teflon meaning like a non-stick pan. It just doesn't stick. It runs right off. Let me give you an example. So let's say tonight, giving this talk to you guys, let's say at the end of this talk, 10 people text me and say it was great. They loved it. One person texts me and says, wasn't that really that good? You're not that good. You're not that great. I mean, I'm not saying any of y'all are going to do that, but what do I go to bed thinking about? I don't even remember what the 10 people said, right? I only go to bed thinking about that one negative comment. So think about a situation in your life that really does prove, scientists are saying it takes 5 positive thoughts and interactions to make up for one negative one. 5 positive. And you know, we are in this unprecedented event. We're living in a time where there's a lot of fear, and we can feel that fear. There's a lot of it on the news and social media. And so knowing that it takes 5 positive thoughts and interactions to make up for one negative one. And also we know that when it comes to our thoughts, we have both conscious thoughts and subconscious thoughts. So our conscious mind, those are the thoughts that we're aware of. Scientists have found out that those only make up 5%. 5%. Our subconscious mind, those thoughts that are running in the background, they make up 95% of our thoughts. And there's science behind all of that. You know, your conscious mind is firing off 20 to 40 neurons per second, and your subconscious mind is firing off 20 to 40 million per second. But here's what's crazy. So just when you think you're controlling things, you come to realize that the majority of your thoughts and beliefs are coming from your subconscious mind. And here's what happens. It's like, imagine if you were watching a TV show over and over and over again. Eventually you would know it so well that you could fall asleep and it wouldn't even matter, right? You could wake up and know exactly what was happening. Well, this is what has happened to a lot of us and our thoughts. You know, we're asleep. We're actually unconscious to what our thoughts are. So the goal is to become an observer of your thoughts. I mean, just think about today. Are you aware of all the thoughts you've had today? I mean, I want to ask yourself, what have the majority of your thoughts been focused on in, let's just say, the past 24 hours or the past week? Think about that for a minute. Have they been thoughts of like peace and calm and gratitude, or have they been thoughts of worry, anxiety, and stress? Now, let me ask it another way. In the past 24 hours, how much intentional time have you set aside to think about what you want to happen in your life versus focusing on what you don't want to happen or focusing on the potential what ifs? Think about that. Past 24 hours, how much intentional time have you set aside to think about what you want to happen? Now, there's no judgment in that question or in the answer, but it's all about awareness. Because if we believe what we focus on grows, then that means we got to think about our thoughts and our actions. So what do you believe about your ability to be successful right now in this moment? Or what do you believe about your ability to have what you most deeply desire? Do you believe it's possible? Because achievement is 80% mental. Anything you achieve in life, you will achieve in your head first. I have this calendar and it has different sayings on it each day. It sits in my office. And I came across this saying and I just loved it and it was fitting for tonight's talk. So it says this: your desires and beliefs are just thoughts. Ask and it is given. You ask through your attention, through your wanting, through your desire. That is the asking. Whether you desire it to happen or you desire it not to happen, you are asking. Think about that. You know, where our attention goes, energy flows. And it's also been scientifically proven that the hormones of stress lower our immune system. And that's what none of us want right now, right? And guess what? You can turn on that hormone of stress by thought alone. Just think about if you've read a scary article on the news or read an article on social media. You can turn on that hormone of stress by thought alone. And at the same time, thoughts of love and gratitude can increase your immune system. Your physical body is eavesdropping on your internal dialogue all day long. So this might sound all well and good, and you might really say, Jenni, okay, explain this to me. I'm not really getting it. So I want to share with you a study. This was a study, I love this study. It's called the milkshake study. It's where scientists wanted to measure people's ghrelin levels when they drank a milkshake. Now, ghrelin is also known as the hunger hormone. So when you're really hungry, your ghrelin is high. And when you're satisfied, your ghrelin levels are low, okay? So they brought in this group of people and they had them drink what was called a Sensi milkshake. 0 fat, 0 added sugar, 140 calories. It was a guilt-free satisfaction. And when they drank this milkshake, their ghrelin levels remained high, meaning they weren't very satisfied. Now, a week later, scientists had them come back in, same group of people. They had them drink a different milkshake. This milkshake was called Pure Indulgence, 620 calories, 30 grams of fat. And guess what? When they drank this milkshake, their ghrelin levels dropped almost 3 times more, meaning they were more satisfied. Now, the participants in this study thought they had actually drank different shakes, but guess what? In reality, it was the exact same shake. So what we believe, what we expect, and what we think determines our body's response. Now, please know, I'm not saying that you should never have any thoughts of fear or doubt or worry. That's not natural. That's going to happen. However, when you can become a conscious observer of your thoughts, guess what? It means you can begin to become more mindful and you can choose new ones that will help you grow and prosper. Now, scientists also say by the age of 35, we have become a memorized state of being. Memorized behaviors, memorized emotions, learned perceptions, learned beliefs. So what happens is we're this memorized state of being. And if you don't believe me, I guarantee all of y'all like sleep on the same side of the bed every night. When you go to brush your teeth, you start on the right or left-hand side, upper or lower, every single time. So most of us are this memorized state of being, and we just wake up and start reacting to everything that happens to us. So, you know, you may have this belief that maybe you're not a good leader, or you have this belief that you're not worthy of what you most deeply desire. But these beliefs are just seeped into your subconscious, and you've just been unconsciously agreeing to them for many, many years. And here's what's great. When you learn to become an observer of your thoughts, you create awareness. And when you've created awareness, then you have choice, because we can only change the things we're aware of. And so with awareness comes choice. So step number 2 is all about learning to become an observer of your thoughts. Now that leads me to step number 3. Step number 3 is all about be the change. You know, I always say that there's 2 ways to live your life: cause and effect, or causing an effect. When we live our life by cause and effect, it means when something good happens, I'm happy, and when something bad happens, I'm sad. Now that's not a bad way to live our life, but we're not in proactively choosing at that point. You can live your life by causing an effect, meaning you're proactively choosing how you want to feel every day. And you become so focused on that emotion that it causes you to become aware when any other emotions surface. Now, it definitely doesn't mean you don't feel any other feelings, but it just means that you recognize you have that choice. And with every thought, you have that choice. You get to reinforce that thought and feeling, or you get to reject it and choose a new one. So if you live by your emotions of the past, then it has been proven that most likely your past will become your future. So if you want to create real change and maintain that positive mindset, the goal is to teach your body emotionally what your future feels like. And you memorize that feeling, and you are conditioning yourself to an emotion of your future and not your past. Now, some of you might say, Jenni, that sounds nice, but how in the world do we do that? Well, I'm going to give you an example, because we have become experts at doing it with negative emotions. So think about a time. Have you ever gotten really, really mad at someone, right? Or a situation? And a day later, a week later, sometimes a few months later, you are retelling the story. You're telling it to a friend, your spouse, a significant other. And when you retell that story all over again, you're getting mad all over again, right? You can feel your heart beating, your blood pressure. Y'all know what I'm talking about because we've all lived it, right? So what just happened? You just created a feeling in your body without the event happening, right? Because that event didn't happen to you all over again. Just by you thinking about it and telling it, you've created a feeling in your body. So if you can do that with a negative experience, can't you do it with a positive one? So if you're currently feeling fear and doubt, I want you to go back to a time or an experience where you felt maybe calm, peaceful, confident, hopeful. All you have to do is close your eyes and replay that experience. When you do, just like when you're retelling the negative experience and somebody made you really mad, when you replay the positive experience, your brain and your body begin to remember what that feels like. And like I said, the goal is to memorize that feeling so that you're living by your emotions of the future and not the emotions of your past or of your current circumstances. Now, it's not easy, but it's not impossible either. You can choose your feelings. So this is why I always talk to people about marrying an affirmation with an elevated emotion. Now, who has ever tried affirmations? Can I see a show of hands? Who's tried affirmations before, right? I know I have. Now, how many of you have set them? You've created your affirmation and you're all excited, and day 1 feels pretty good. Day 2 feels pretty good. By about day 20 or 30, some of us are sitting there going, okay, I've said this thing so many times till I'm blue in the face and this just ain't working. Well, I know that's happened to me. But too often we've talked about choosing the affirmation and saying it and saying it and saying it. When you're saying that affirmation, you are mastering the 5% of your mind, your conscious mind. So to create real change, you got to go into that subconscious. You got to go into that 95%. We can no longer say the affirmation and immediately go back to fear and doubt. For an affirmation to really work, we have to not only say it, but we have to think about the feeling we would have if that affirmation were true today. And then the goal is to live your life by that feeling as if the affirmation were already true. So if you're sitting there, and not if you're driving, but if you have a pen and paper, what is an affirmation that you want for yourself right now? Everybody write one down. Is it, I am successful? I am a master director. I am financially secure. Perhaps it's I am healthy, or I am peaceful and calm. Those are just some examples, but write down, what is an affirmation you have for yourself? And if you can't come up with one right now, that's okay. But now, once you've written down your affirmation, I want you to write down 2 feelings, just 2 feelings or emotions that you would have if your affirmation were true today. Perhaps you'd be feeling joyful or peaceful or abundant, but what are your 2 feelings? What 2 feelings go with that affirmation? Okay, so now you have those 2 things, and I want to challenge you to what I call the 1-minute challenge. 1 minute. I want you to spend 1 minute every morning saying your affirmation, and you can say it silently in your head, but I want you saying your affirmation, and then I want you thinking about the feelings you wrote down, and I want you to replay an experience in your mind when you felt that. So perhaps you chose joy or you chose peace. Replay a time in your life when you felt joy or you felt peace. I'm asking you to spend a total of 30 minutes over the next 30 days to shift your mindset. Say that 3 times really fast. Which when you do that, you will in turn shift your energy. And as a result, you will shift the energy of your entire environment and transformation will begin. I promise you. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that once you've chosen, for example, joy, that you're going to feel joyful all day long. That's not realistic. I would love to tell you that I choose joy in the morning and I walk around all day long in joy, but my husband and my children will be the first to tell you that that is not the case. So, but what it does do for me is it creates an awareness. Like when, I might choose joy and then an hour later something happens and maybe I read something and it creates some fear, or I read something or I have an experience and it frustrates me. So it just makes me aware that when I become frustrated, I kind of say to myself, okay, I have a choice. I can choose to be frustrated right now, or I can choose to go back to feeling joy. I think the whole goal is to teach ourselves how to live above our circumstances and not in them. And like I said, it's not always easy, but it's not impossible either. And so the only question you really have to ask yourself is it worth it? I guarantee if you do this, if you do the 1 minute challenge, you will start to experience amazing things. You are a magnet to your reality. So strive to live every day in the moment of now, fully present, with awareness, and proactively choosing how you want to feel. And so just to recap, remember, you got 3 steps. Number 1, create a proactive daily mindset by setting your schedule and asking yourself the 2 questions. Number 2, learn to become an observer of your thoughts. And number 3, proactively choose your thoughts and your feelings on a moment-by-moment basis throughout the day. And commit to the 1-minute challenge. I promise you will be amazed at the transformation that starts to occur. And I always love the stories I hear from people that are doing the 1-minute challenge. So feel free, reach out, share them with me. I love hearing about them because I promise in the 1-minute challenge, you're not my guinea pigs. This has been proven and it works. So always remember, real change begins with awareness, and awareness always leads to choice. And so the only thing you have to ask yourself is, how am I going to choose? So I have loved being with you guys tonight. It has been such a blessing. I wish you many blessings and much abundance. And I am going to actually turn it back over to Sarah. I'm not sure if she has any more announcements before she closes us out, but thank you all for just showing up. You know, showing up is the first step. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and being here and for showing up. It has truly been a blessing. So thank you. And Sarah, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm getting lots of great texts, and I can see in the chat thread that everybody's like soaking it all in, which is great. I think that especially right now, this is a really good time to put these kinds of things into practice. And so I just encourage all of you, there's 150 of you on this Zoom tonight, and there'll be many more that are watching this on the replay. And I just encourage you guys to look over your notes and decide, you know, what am I going to put into action right now? What can I control right now? What resonates with me the most right now? And do something about it. So we didn't just waste your time, Jenni's time, David's time, but that you not only hear this message, but like David said, you know, your natural and human instinct is to go on about whatever, right? Whatever's easy, whatever's comfortable. But if you can really challenge yourself to put some of this into practice, and it resonates so much with me when you talk about proactive and reactive, because isn't that just the truth? You know, just even simply thinking about it is when something good happens, your mood is elevated and everything's great. And then if something bad happens, it puts you into this little slump. And I think right now, with everything that's going on, it's so easy to go into that slump and react to what's happening around us. But we don't have to. We can choose to, you know, figure out ways to make the most of this time, to get those projects done, to strengthen our relationships, to, you know, pivot and do things differently than we've done before, and continue to get good results, or even better results maybe than we had before. So that's my advice to all of you that are watching, is just to, you know, look over those notes and put this into practice and see what you can create for yourself over the next several weeks as we are all in this together. And so thank you, David and Jenni, for getting on and spending some time with us on your Sunday evening. Thank you to all of you advocates that set aside time to get on this Zoom and invest in yourselves tonight. And this will be on replay. So if you need to watch it again, or maybe you have a spouse or a friend that you want to listen to it, feel free to share as well. So thank you guys, everybody, for popping on. And everybody have an awesome night.